Next on stage at Cowes was the OCR Euro Powerboat Tour, hoping for something a little brighter, drier and more comfortable following the last round in the doom and gloom of Teignmouth. But hopes were short-lived. Down came the rain again, and in sea conditions whipped up by continuous traffic, Gavin Hanks and Phil Smith found themselves upside down before they reached the start line. The rest got away on time, with 50 Bob Baker, 70 Lee Moxham, 14 Ian Blacker, 15 Ian Sterling and 33 Matt Shepherd, the early pick of the bunch. And Shepherd, 33, you saw there, showing promising form throughout a particularly difficult season. He gets to mark one first, ahead of Blacker, championship leader Sterling, Richard White number 2, and third in the championship Steve Masterman number 12. Shepherd has the Scandinavian-built Argo flying now at almost 70 miles an hour. Not so lucky though for Matt Webb and Matt Woodward. They became the second boat to flip over, resulting in Webb being airlifted to hospital with a severely damaged knee. On lap 2, with sea conditions becoming more tricky, the pace eases and Moxham moves up to third in the blue boat. Blacker slides ominously into second and Shepherd's lead is suddenly vulnerable. Ian Sterling, the championship leader, a couple of 100 points ahead, plays the waiting game, letting the others take the risks. A lap later, and Blacker is in front, taking Moxham with him and leaving Shepherd to weather an assault from Richard White, number 2. Blacker has been back to his best of late. Loves these sort of conditions where he can get the boat up and clipping across the top of the swells. Moxham in the blue boat also enjoys good form. But what happens next is extraordinary. Ian Sanderson and Paul Scott, world, European and 3 times national champions, making their way to the front in this race after a poor start, suddenly face the stark reality of powerboat racing. Flat out at 74 miles per hour, the boat stops almost instantly and they're thrown in the water. Matt Shepherd and Julian Abbott stop to assist, protecting the crew while safety arrives. Looking at it again, Sanderson's boat has been tripped by a wave probably no more than a metre high. It catches the engine and gearbox, dramatically changing the boat's trajectory. The boat has been almost broken in two by the impact. Miraculously, both crew escaped serious injury. At over 70 miles an hour, hitting the water is like hitting concrete. Everything happens so quickly, there's scarcely time to duck your head or raise your arms to afford any sort of protection. With the safety network at full stretch, the 7th round of the OCR Championship is abandoned. Sanderson and Scott are taken to hospital.
What happened there? Who did that? The best thing is we didn't go up underneath, came out straight out. Because if you go up underneath you can get trapped. So that's good. We went, hit the wheel, boat went in, hit the wheel, boat rolled inside. Luckily, we flew out, banging our legs and chest on the way.
I remember the boat pointing skywards and an eerie silence for about 2 seconds, and then that's about it. Then trying to get through the water, trying to get to the surface again. Apart from that, not a lot. We were going fast, I know that. We just decided it was about time to go and show them, and it got right back up on top of the water. And so when we went in, we were probably not on full throttle.
It was an escape from serious injury of Houdini proportions. Southend on Sea, Essex, tucked away on the eastern extremities of the Thames estuary. More day visitors than any other UK seaside resort, and organisers of the most successful water sports festival in Europe. Good credentials, but then so have most of the sports who come here to compete. Our interest centres around the offshore circuit racing powerboat tour, hugely competitive and compulsively entertaining. There's never much to choose between any of them on the water or in the points. The racetrack is completely unaccountable, particularly in busy shipping lanes such as this. A tanker wash or rogue wave isn't always that easy to spot, especially when you're covering the water at a rate of approximately 40 metres every second. That was the current champions, Ian Sanderson and Paul Scott, coming to grief in busy Solent waters just 1 week ago. Battered and bruised, but thankfully escaping serious injury. Racing on water at these speeds, this is all part of the risk factor. In the first of 2 reports from Southend, the Westcliff Casino Grand Prix is round 8 of this year's championship. The stakes are high, as 25 boats totalling 5,000 horsepower thunder into Mark 1 on day 1, with Ian Mackman, number 55, leading the way. Leading the championship is number 15, Ian Sterling and A.D. Dickinson, looking to consolidate their lead on a day already providing a surprise or two. But it's Mackman's sudden arrival as a main player that's activating all the pit lane gossip. While Moxham in the light blue boat and Baker in the darker blue dispute the spoils of second place, Mackman and his co-driver John Rusby slip away. Two laps and 6 miles into the 50 scheduled, and they are bang on course for a first ever championship win. Bob Baker keeps up the pressure. Any chance he still has of becoming champion rests totally on this race. He must win. Behind Baker, Moxham is joined by Brian Padell, number 13, 6 overall, and less than 300 points off third place. He also needs a top result. Beyond Padell, championship third Steve Masterman on the yellow boat and the overnight leader Ian Sterling set up their own personal scrap. There might be less than 30 points between their respective places here, but they all count. In the 1.3 litre class, the good form of Welsh crew Mark Kirk and Christina Deacon continues. They lead. But with 10 of the 20 laps completed, it's the pressure on race leader Mackman that's building. Baker has closed to within 30 metres, and Mackman is discovering flat out the smaller Phantom hull is inclined to be a little lively. For lap after lap, they continued the same pattern, but somehow Mackman manages to hang on through the rougher sections of the course. That earns him a little breathing space through the chicane and down the flatter start-finish straight, where the boat is much more controllable. But he will have to sustain this sort of pressure for another 10 laps. Or he might have. Baker, sights set on a late title bid, senses victory. But after doing all the hard work, his boat grinds to a halt. Leaving number 17, Lee Moxham, to pick up the chase. Mackman is suddenly relieved of the relentless pressure that almost led to his downfall, while Bob Baker is left to reflect.
It's very embarrassing indeed. It turned out that the emergency fuel cut-off had come loose. A couple of cable ties had actually worn themselves free and broken free. The pipe had then vibrated itself around and turned off the fuel, which, funnily enough, the engine wasn't very happy with. It stopped.
Not only embarrassing, but expensive, really, because that might be a championship chance gone.
It is, without a doubt, yes, that's had it. If we could have had a good result yesterday and today and 2 more in Gibraltar, we would still have had just that smallest of chances of reaching the podium, which after the year that we've had would have been quite remarkable, but that's now completely out the window. That's gone.
Well, you might call that an expensive cable tie.
Very expensive cable tie indeed. I'm being handed one right here. They're giving me big ones now.
Is that going to make a difference?
I certainly hope so. I can think of other things I could use it for at this moment as well, but there we are.
With Baker out of the way, Macman might have hoped for a comfortable run to the checkered flag. But not so. Moxham and his co-driver Terry Morris are a different racing machine these days. They too can win the title. And once again, rookie Macman is under the cosh. Moxham and Morris will be within 400 points of leader Sterling if they win. And you get 400 points for a win. But they also have a small matter of defending to consider. Number 70, Derek Basham and John Cook are the quickest crew on the course, less than 40 metres behind. Sterling has passed Masterman to pick up useful points in 4th. And further back, number 16, Mark Priestley and number 10, the Rendell brothers, have also disposed of the ailing number 12. Both pick up useful championship points ahead of number 2, Richard White. He, remember, had such a good race at Teignmouth a few weeks ago. But none of them is a match for number 55, Ian Macman and John Rusby. Next time around, after 20 laps, they hit the jackpot in the Westcliff Casino Grand Prix, recording their first ever championship win. And that's good enough to propel them into the top 10 overall. And that's good news for Sterling, who doesn't lose a lot of ground, finishing 4th.
What was the difference today?
I think we were probably driving harder because we were being pushed harder. But that's the first time we've been in the lead, and we were being pushed quite hard, well, very hard by Lee and Basham.
And a good start the first time.
And a good start makes a world of difference. Because after probably 5 laps, the water's all chopped up and bouncing back from the key heading here. So.
Hey John, is this the first of many?
Well, hopefully, but yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and then onward to maybe sunny climbs in Gibraltar.
How about tomorrow?
Yeah, if the weather's similar, we'll just see how we go and see what happens tonight at the party, probably. That's probably more key.